Okay, let's talk about scientific notation. A number is written in scientific notation when the front number has to be between 1 and 10. It can be equal to 1, so it could be 1 or greater, but it definitely has to be less than 10. Okay, that's really important on scientific notation. And then it has to be multiplied by 10 to some power. Okay, the 10 has to have an exponent on it. In this case, it's 10 to the third power. So that's how we know if a number is in scientific notation. Let's look at how we change it if it's not in scientific notation. So, for example, let's say I have 8901, okay? And that's, say, 10 to the second power. If I look at this, I'm going to start by looking at this front number, and I'm trying to see if that number is between 1 and 10. Again, it could be equal to 1. So clearly it is not between 1 and 10. That's a much bigger number than 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the decimal, and I want you to pay attention. I'm going to move the decimal 1, 2, 3 place values to make that number between 1 and 10. So now it's 8 point something, and 8 is between 1 and 10. So I know that I've done that right. I've made that number smaller by 3 place values. And if I make that number smaller by 3 place values, I have to make my exponent bigger by 3 place values. So I do not change the value of the number. And so this would be that number written in scientific notation. And that's how we would do that. Let's look at one more example. Let's look at a negative exponent. Let's say we have 3.25 times 10 to the negative 2 power. And let's say I want to make this into scientific notation. Again, looking at this number, it's 83 point something. 83 is greater than 10, so that's not in scientific notation. So I need to move the decimal. I'm going to move the decimal 1 place to the left. Means I took away 1 place value, or I made that number smaller by 1 place value. If I make this smaller here, I have to make the exponent with the 10 greater, because they have to balance out to 0 so that I'm not changing the value of the number. So I made this one smaller. So this is 8.325. So this is smaller by 1 place value. And then I'm going to increase this by 1 place value. And negative 2 plus 1 is 10 to the negative 1 power. And that's how I would write that in scientific notation.